As we move into 2023, the world is seeing a rise in the development and implementation of central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs. These digitally backed currencies, created and controlled by central banks, are being introduced as a way for governments to maintain control over their monetary systems in the face of competition from global digital assets. But what does the future hold for CBDCs? According to the Atlantic Council think tank, over 100 countries are currently exploring CBDCs in the research and development phase. This means that governments are actively looking into the possibility of creating their own digital currencies and figuring out how they could be implemented in their respective countries. 11 countries have already launched their CBDC programs, including Jamaica, Nigeria, and the Bahamas. These countries have taken the initiative to launch a digital currency that is backed by their government and is intended to be used as a means of payment. Many other countries are also in the pilot phase of CBDC implementation, such as China, India, and Thailand. China has had the most success with its digital yuan, with transactions surpassing $14 billion, although overall volumes have slowed significantly from a record 154% growth in transaction volume in 2020 to just 14% since the end of 2021. This indicates that while there is a significant adoption rate, it has slowed down since the initial launch. Finally, some countries, including Ecuador and Denmark, have explored the possibility of launching CBDCs but have since paused their efforts. These countries have conducted research on CBDCs and have decided to not proceed with its launch for now. The newest entrant to the CBDC race is India. India's pilot launch of its e-Rupee has sparked global interest. As the largest democracy in the world with a massive crypto user base, India is the perfect testing ground to implement a large-scale CBDC campaign. Its direct competitor, UPI, India's current digital payments system, has onboarded over 376 banks and currently processes monthly transactions of over 119 lakh crore, a solid foundation to build digital currency infrastructure. Currently, the e-Rupee pilot is restricted to bankers and select retail customers. Considering India's G20 presidency, its stance on CBDCs and the performance of e-Rupee have the ability to influence the other 18 G20 countries on their own potential CBDC rollouts. Future of CBDCs, predictions and areas of improvement. Despite the widespread enthusiasm among governments and central banks, the adoption of existing digital currency projects has been lukewarm. There are several barriers to adoption working against CBDCs, as the International Monetary Fund states in its paper on instant payments. From a consumer point of view, there is little difference between instant payment systems and CBDCs since both are fast, backed by the central government and free of charge. Thus, CBDCs need to provide tangible benefits for users to switch from an already working system. For instance, India's e-Rupee plans to target those who don't have bank accounts, in contrast to UPI, which enables bank-to-bank transfers. Further, UPI doesn't permit cross-border transactions, but CBDCs can potentially tackle this issue once a global standard is established. We will also see wide-scale incentivization and marketing campaigns to boost CBDC adoption. These could range from free money and tax benefits to foreign transaction fee waivers and public sector salaries paid with CBDCs. However, in countries with more restrictive financial laws, incentivization might look very different, sometimes infringing on basic human rights. For instance, Nigeria plans to ban ATM cash withdrawals over $225 a week, with exceeding amounts attracting a 5% processing fee. This is a clear attempt to boost Nigeria's cashless policy and the lackluster adoption of its CBDC. Naira, which has an adoption rate of just about 0.5% of the country's population. In conclusion, CBDCs are gaining traction globally, and it will be interesting to see how they evolve in the coming year. Governments and central banks are actively exploring the possibilities of creating their own digital currencies, and many countries have already launched their CBDC programs. However, adoption has been slow, and there are several barriers to adoption that need to be addressed. Governments will likely continue to incentivize and market CBDCs to boost adoption, but it will be important to consider the ethical implications of these efforts. As we head into 2023, it's important to keep a close eye on the developments and challenges facing CBDCs. Will they become the dominant force in the world of money, or will they fall by the wayside? Only time will tell.